students from developing countries tended to stay in the US after graduation. Of course, the US and Western European countries are more than willing to accept these students as it also increases their level of skilled manpower. In the 2019 Global Talent Competitiveness Index report, the Philippines ranked 58 out of 125 countries surveyed. But despite its low score, the country still emerged as the highest ranking country among 27 lower middle income economies. But what is more telling in this report is that while it ranked high in growing talent and global knowledge skills, the Philippines ranked very low in retaining talent. The country's score indicate that its well-developed and high-quality talent is benefiting other countries more than ourselves. In order to prevent a nation from losing this highly educated and skilled workforce, the government should also be able to provide mechanisms to employ its own professionals, such as providing attractive employment opportunities, professional career development, higher salaries, and the like. Aside from drain, Dr. Salomo also identified other legitimate areas of concern in the training of doctoral students that certainly makes it difficult to improve the number of our PhD holders. This includes the limited number of HEIs offering tenable PhD programs in science, technology, engineering, agriculture, and mathematics, the meager number of faculty members with PhD degrees, as well as the problem of the so-called academic inbreeding. Let me just focus on the issue of inbreeding in the training of these doctoral students. As an agriculture graduate who majored in crop science, our definition of inbreeding in my field is the production of offspring from the mating of breeding or breeding of individuals or organisms that are closely related genetically. In plant breeding, inbred lines are used as stocks for the creation of hybrid lines to make use of the effects of so-called heterosis. Inbreeding in plants also occurs naturally in the form of self-pollination. So in my profession, inbreeding is not necessarily a bad thing. But then I know that academic breeding is an altogether different matter from crop or plant breeding. And so I tried inclusivity and exclusivity that is being encouraged by our educational system has quite disenchanted the general studentry. The question is, can we really do something about this to make science and math more inclusive? That will be the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Student. We will now proceed to the open forum. If there will be no questions asked, may I request the participants, you can approach the microphones and state your names and affiliation. But I have two questions here. The first one is for Academician Albaceda. I commend the approach of giving good science and math education for all. I just want to ask your opinion about how do you think AEIs, given their limited resources, can cater all those students?
When we do this process of maybe identifying talent and giving some students opportunities, the usual rationale for doing the way we do things is because of our limited resources. And we recognize that resources are limited, but we also recognize the fact that if the government or the legislators have the will and they have when they want to, they can really pour in a lot of investments, a lot of money. We have seen that money, people saying money is not a problem, which is not to say that the idea of providing very good education to all can be achieved overnight. It will take a long time. Pero sa akin, that is the sustainable approach. I don't expect all institutions to be able to do that. Yes, institutions have limited capacity. So let's address that. Why do they have limited capacity? Is it a problem of budget? Is it a problem of wastage? These are things that we can study and we can find solutions. The point is, when we start even from the lowest levels, going all the way up the academic ladder, the philosophy is not to make opportunities available only for a select few who will eventually get more and more preferential treatment. You get into a science high school, you pass the USD examinator, that's because you've been given the opportunity. Everyone who's left out, wala na, out na sila sa track stream na yun na magaling, pasok sa magaling eskwela, science high school, punta sa USD Scores for magaling eskwela, lumiliit pa yun. So, ang point ko lang, palakihin natin yung base, huwag natin gawin masyadong exclusive. Then, meron tayong makakabit ng mga positibong mga resulta.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge the question came from Mr. Rowan Canagan Castro of the Bulacan State University. Thank you for the question. Another question. No specific person or speaker who will answer it, but the question came from Dr. Cristeta Gapuz of the Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University Sericulture Research and Development Institute. To address MDG 4 and to promote inclusive quality education, particularly on addressing the selective elitist capacity building, what has NAST done towards policy formulation and advocacies or national policies or laws to address such?
I think NAST is doing many things to address SDG 4. Immediately after this talk, there will be a presentation by National Scientist Luli Cruz on our future Earth. Although you might think it's all about environmental concerns, but really the environment includes the educational systems, and NST has done a lot there. Even popularization talks, career talks, NAST has been doing this very much. Our educators in the academy are relied upon to give advice. National scientists Bienvenido Nebres, for instance, has been very closely working with the Department of Education. About 20 years ago, when there was a big elementary education project during the administration of Secretary Rocco, Father Nebres was on top of that, and they had a system. Education and DepEd is such a monolithic and system. You cannot change it overnight. You cannot even change the mindsets of many leaders. So one approach is really not top-down, but also bottom-up. You go to the different institutions, work with the other stakeholders, the local governments, the mayors, the governors, and then build many of these primary schools, elementary schools, and so on. So that's the way to do it. And NIST has been doing it. And NIST has been used, for instance, we now have a universal kindergarten law. Dati walang ganon, di ba? Lahat ng mga experts sa edukasyon sumama sa paggagawa niyan. So marami naman pwedeng gawin at marami pang pwedeng magawa. No?
Thank you. The next question is for Academician Saloma, but the identity of the person who asked this is not indicated in the form. The question is, while we continue to address the supply side in STEM graduates for BS, MS, and PhD, have there been an attempt on how these correlate with the demand side, especially in the industry sector?
Maraming salamat sa question. Let me, would like to start with, may mga anak. So ang goal naman at the level of children, gusto lang naman natin na ma-achieve ng bawat bata yung potential niya. So ang potential niya maybe hindi maging scientist, but maging artist, maging kung ano nung saan ang kanyang talent madadala sa kanya. So minention ko yan dahil when I was in the elementary school, may mga playing mates ako, different grades in elementary, na magaling po talaga sila sa paggagawa ng mga toys. Kasi sa Bohol, kung saan kami lumaki, wala namang department store where to get our toys. Besides, wala namang kakayahan masyado yung kanilang parents to buy. So, we really made toys out of knickknacks like sleepers, like coconut husk, and so on and so forth. Maalala ko nung bata ako, mayroon akong kapitbahay na gumawa siya ng microscope out of the parts of a flashlight. So, pinakita niya sa akin at tuwang-tuwa kami na yung palang mga langgam. Yung langgam ay my hairs. These were simple things, but I could see the promise of that guy. But siyempre po, given his situation, he probably barely finished college. So, imagine kung na-nurture siya. So, yun lang ang... So, it looks like elitism, but it's not... we just really would like to have a system na yung may mga kakayahan na sana sa mathematics o sa sciences, pure or applied, magkakaroon sila ng channel to achieve their potential. Just like basketball. Gilas, Pilipinas, naghahanap yung mga tao ng mga 7-footers dito. There should be a wide program for athletics. Now, with regards to the demand side of PhDs na lang, look at gaano po karami ang ating higher education institutions, ngunit less than 1% niyan ay may STEM PhD degree programs. So that is not enough, as Dr. Academician Balmaceda mentioned, yung issues natin or even the very few schools in AHT, RRDP or ARDT, concentrated yan sa mga lugar na kung saan magkalapit sila. Ateneo and UP, Diliman, magkalapit within 2 kilometers yan. So if we are going to spread them out, add more schools, we need those PhD graduates. And they are going to go through, mayroon pong 16 campuses, 9 campuses ang UP, University of the Philippines. Dalawa lang ang kasama sa ARDT, 2 o 3 lang ang kasama sa ARDT at AHTRDP. So, yun pa lang, maraming demand sa graduates. Now, sa private sector, kung makikita natin, nagbabago ang teknolohiya. Data science ngayon, no? Dati signal processing lang yan, ngayon naging data science. Yung requirements for deep learning and machine learning, nangangailangan yan ng skills sa computer science. So, research sa skills, no? Continually evolving ang data gathering requirements. So, mayroon pong oportunidad.
Okay, thank you. Academician Fabian Derit has a question.
Sige. Well, not
mamaya
it's
na lang
a
pwede.
question or a comment. Actually, I think our major problem is leadership. Tingin mga bansang umunlad, Malaysia, Singapore, they were led by people with vision. Yung sabi, education industry. Unfortunately, we haven't had that for many years. We've been in, trying to develop PhDs, looking for, but if you don't have the ecosystem, because you need an ecosystem, hindi mo pwedeng CHED lang yan or DOST. No one ever mentioned DTI, developing industry and, I don't know, we're undergoing elections. No one ever talks about science or engineering or education. So I think, we're all working very hard, but if there's no leadership, siguro magdasal. Magdasal na lang muna tayo.
Akala ko may party list na i-rekomendasihan ni Academician Toby.
Okay, thank you. Probably the last, it's not a question or it's a recommendation, but it can be restated as a question. Came from Carlos Antonio Peña of DOST National Capital Region. The interest for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics should start from the primary levels. How can we inspire students from the primary levels to take STEM courses in their tertiary education?
I think when school children at the primary level, hindi mo naman siguro sabihin mag-STEM ka, mag-science ka na. But, you give them the atmosphere that shows the beauty, the power of science and mathematics. Many of them will go to different fields, but at least you show them a true picture of what those disciplines can offer. And it doesn't even have to be a science course. In many successful educational systems abroad, even the first few years, some have no science course, but there's some general program like life and environment or nature. So exposure to those things, as Academician Saloma said, working with things around your communities. Those are things that can inspire, I hope, school children. Because school children are situated in various contexts. No? They can be in urban places, in rural. So let's take advantage of that context and let's give them the best teachers who understand their mission. A lot of students speaking about math lose interest early on, maybe around grade 3 or 4, because that's when the difficult topics like fractions come in, and in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope all those who provided questions are satisfied with the answers. Thank you very much. We will now proceed to the awarding.
Mayroon lang ako
Ay,
i-add
yes, sir.
May presentation pa.
Siguro kasama doon sa pagbago ng ating kultura is na critical nating maintindihan na sa isang department, sa isang klase, pwedeng tayong lahat maging magaling. Na hindi lang dapat isang first honor, isa lang magaling sa physics department. Pwedeng marami, hindi magko-conflict. No? That is really a very simple but important experience that we had in College of Science and National Institute. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you very much. We will now proceed to the awarding of certificates and tokens of appreciation. May I call on stage our NAST Philippines Vice President Academician Fabian M. Derit. Let me read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, National Academy of Science and Technology, and Department of Science and Technology Luzon Cluster present this certificate of appreciation during the Luzon Regional Scientific Meeting, April 24 to 25, 2019 at Don Leopoldo Season Convention Center, Alaminos, Pangasinan. Signed, Fabian M. Derit, Vice President, NAST Philippines, Armando Q. Ganal, Regional Director, DOST-12, Dr. Academician Cesar A. Saloma. Another certificate of appreciation is given to Academician Jose Maria P. Balmaceda. Certificate of appreciation is given to Mr. Wilfredo F. Sibal. And certificate of appreciation is given to ARD Lydia S. Mangian. Before we end our session, the third plenary session, we are inviting the following members of the Resolutions Committee to please immediately proceed to the conference room to finalize the resolutions. Academician Fabian Derit, Director Julius Cesar Sicat, Director Jose Patalinghog III, Dr. Lydia Mangiat, Dr. Nancy Bantog, Dr. Virginia Bilguera, Miss Amy Bagsit, Academician Virginia Cuevas, and Academician Eufemio Rasco Jr. Thank you again, our dear speakers. We would like to invite everyone to like and follow NAST Philippines social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and use the official hashtag 2019 Luzon RSM. Again, that's at NAST PHL on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. May we also request you or remind you to accomplish the evaluation form and submit it to the registration area at the end of the event in exchange of your certificate. The copies of the presentations will be available at the NAST Philippines website, www.nast.ph. Thank you very much. I will now turn over the floor to Academician Asuncion K. Raimundo, NAST Philippines Biological Sciences Division member, for our last session.
Thank you, DOST Region 1 Director Armando Q. Ganal, for moderating the third session. Good morning, everyone. I am Academician Asuncion K. Raimundo, member of the Biological Science Division, and I'll be the moderator for this session. This session will have updates from the DOST-Philippines. For the audience, if you have questions, you may write them on the piece of paper that will be provided by our staff, together with your name and affiliation. Please give your questions to the ushers at the side of the stage. To manage our time, priority will be given to written questions. Our first speaker will be Vice President of NAST, Toby Dairit. He'll give updates on the 40th Annual Scientific Meeting resolutions. As you know, the Academician Dairit is NAST Vice President and Mathematical and Physical Science Division Chair. Academician Dairit, please.
Salamat po, Academician Raimundo. Marami nagtatanong kung ano ang ginagawa ng NAST. Well, one of its functions is to give recognition to outstanding scientists, but the other major function is to give advice to the government. Ngayon, ang pagbibigay ng advice ay matagal na proseso. So, what I will share with you is something which we did last year, and this is really an example of how long it takes for the advice to actually be adopted. Kasi kung nagbibigay ng advice, siyempre it's up to the government to implement or not, kung papaging ako hindi. And I think following me, Ms. Samarita will give examples of advice that actually became a major feature or was passed into law. But what I will share with you is the 40th Annual Scientific Meeting and what transpired last year. So DOST-Philippines conducted the 40th Annual Scientific Meeting last July 11 to 12, 2018 at Manila Hotel with a theme also on sustainability, but with other aspects of the SDG goals. So there were, as you can count, there are 7 SDG goals. 7 of the 17 were tackled. Although some of these we still continued this year. Emphasis was on the interrelatedness of these goals. Now the host division that's mentioned there is the Biological Science Division. There are 6 divisions in NAST, and every year each division takes its turn to coordinate the annual scientific meeting. This year, it happens to be the Mathematical and Physical Sciences Division. So, last year, there were the regional scientific meetings. In Luzon, it was held in Clark. Visayas was held in Bacolod, and Mindanao, I believe, in Cagayan de Oro. Similar to what we're doing this year, the RSMs were passed on to the recommendations were passed on to the ASM, the Annual Scientific Meeting. Now, what we usually do at the Annual Scientific Meeting is to have resolutions, and these resolutions are transmitted to the Office of the President, to relevant cabinet level departments, government agencies, and lawmakers. And some of these offices do respond to the resolutions that we pass on. So here are some examples of the responses that we got. So, for example, the first office that responded was the office of Senator Sani Angara, who we discussed with him the talent retention, since his father was very much into SNT scholarships as well. Amendments to the procurement law, and the blue economy, which I will describe later. The blue economy was a major thrust of the previous year's ASM, so that would be ASM 39. Now, what is the blue economy? We've been talking about the importance of sustainable marine food supply, but that is only part of the blue economy. When we talk about the blue economy, This includes a wide range of industries and activities which relate to ocean and fisheries resources. So of course, number one there is fisheries and aquaculture, which we continue to discuss this year. We also talk about ports, shipping, and marine transport. That's part of our blue economy. We have the so-called highway, but we really have to expand that. Many of our people do travel by sea. We talk about tourism, resorts, and coastal development, oil and gas, which is also found in the oceans and seas, coastal manufacturing, seabed mining, renewable energy, marine biotechnology, marine technology, and environmental sciences. So part of this is, I guess going back to number 2, is marine transport. Siguro yung mga bangka na ginagamit ng mga mangisda natin, they've been using it for the past 300 years. And maybe we should try to help them improve that technology. The one department that responded was the Department of Energy. So last October 19, 2018, DOE Secretary Alfonso Cusi met with the DOST-Philippines team led by Academician Colaba, who is the focal person of DOST on energy, and talked about various energy issues, including nuclear energy, waste to energy, electricity, renewable energy sources. And then there's another meeting with DOE Undersecretary Posadas on electricity and oil industry. So these are some of the meetings that happened after following the resolutions. There was a follow-up meeting with the DICT, Department of Information and Communications Technology. So they briefed us on the National Broadband Plan and the development of the country's ICT industry. This meeting was led by ICT pioneer William Torres, who is the father of Philippine Internet, with the relevant DICT officials last November 13, 2018. And as a result, NAST and the DICT agreed on conducting roundtable discussions to discuss ICT in the health sector. There was a meeting with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. Of course, this is the Department of Agriculture Bureau, which is most relevant to the blue economy that we were pushing. Unfortunately, the DA itself is reluctant to separate the marine aspects. And the NAST team was led by its president, Academician Rod Asanza, who discussed the recommendations with BFAR Assistant Director Sammy Malvas regarding the role of DOST-Philippines. And the BFAR officials expressed their support for the NAST endeavors in fisheries and in separating having a separate department. But of course, this is more a political decision. So for the recommendations we make, there are many roundtable discussions and meetings that continue these recommendations. So the task of NAST is really to be a separate independent think tank for the government. So we have a group of experts who are able to see the situation and give recommendations, based on what they know and without the hindrances of being attached to government agencies. So hopefully this will enlighten us regarding what NAST does. Of course, we make many recommendations, and even if 10% of the recommendations are fulfilled, then I think we would have fulfilled our task in providing the best advice to the government. And with the RSMs, we're hopefully able to gather more ideas from the regions so that we can put together good recommendations for our leadership. So thank you.
Thank you, Academician Dairit. Our next speaker is National Scientist Lourdes J. Cruz, member of DOST-Philippines Mathematical and Physical Sciences Division. And she will present and discuss to us the Future Earth program as the focal person in DOST-Philippines.
Okay, so I'll just tell you about the series of projects that we have been doing to sort of improve the culture of science in the Philippines and to make it more inclusive. So we have this series of projects. Initially, we had this research upgrading and performance evaluation project that was approved by the DOST in 2012, strengthening of the scientific foundation of science. And the overall project is called Research Upgrading and Performance Evaluation. We wanted to know ano ba talaga status ng ating mga publications, ng mga ating researchers, the quality. So, we were looking at the introduction of bibliometrics in assessing the performance of researchers and faculty members. And then, so we held workshops. The project involved The project involved holding of workshops in different regions of the Philippines. And in these workshops, we talked about the culture of science, mentoring, ethics of science, research, management, and there are workshops we did this. We have participants from different schools and different agencies, and we grouped them, and they talk about, they did a SWOT analysis, and they also had workshops on how to write papers. And then at about the same time, the Outstanding Young Scientist awardees started a program on how to write proposals. So they also went around to different regions. And there are times when we did this back to back. And then going around to different regions, we realized na hindi pala nagko-collaborate even yung mga institutes and SUCs, parang hindi pa sila nagkikilala and they don't collaborate with each other. So we applied for a 2-year project on encouraging the development of partnerships in the STI ecosystem. And this is our 2nd year, and this will end in May. Through this, we helped some groups in Mindanao get together to establish a cluster on energy, establish a cluster on biodiversity, and we were very happy with the response of the regions in Mindanao, because Director Anthony Sales really spent time to bring the researchers together, even though, we spent only we had held only 2 workshops in Mindanao. Director Sales continued the meetings and the meetings among the various groups that were established during the workshops. And I think part of that follow-up from Director Sales is the establishment of a biodiversity group, which is now headed by academician Victor Amoroso, di ba? Sa Mindanao. Yeah, and you have a biodiversity center there that is now parang being harnessed for that biodiversity cluster. And then we got involved in, we saw that there's really a need for trying to use science instead of research and development. We should now do a research for development. Okay. Okay, so the objectives of our series of projects is to improve output of the OST R&D institutes as well as other agencies and HEIs, do research performance evaluation, increase publication outputs, mentoring and research ethics, research encouragement and management, workshops on scientific writing. And then we introduced the concept of science technology innovation for inclusive development, and the sort of balancing development and conservation of biodiversity and ecosystems, and development of transdisciplinary research involving natural and social sciences for national and global sustainability. Okay, so this is how the different projects develop. So we had the RUPE projects. It's now in the 6th year. About 2 years ago, we started the encouraging partnerships in the STI ecosystem. It's ending in May, but what it is doing will now be incorporated in Module 4 of the RUPE project. And recently, last September, we established the Future Earth Philippines program that's supported by DOST-GIA. And we have done assessment of the status of Philippine sustainability, although this is ongoing, although we had workshops and meetings about this, where we did analysis of gaps and overlaps. And then we are now developing proposals for Philippine knowledge to action programs. Kasi ang daming mga researches dyan na hindi naman nagagamit. So and marami ring researches on sustainability. We have to put this together and then see how we can really use this for Philippine sustainability. And the second phase, so we will submit the knowledge to action proposals within, we hopefully next month. And so that by the second phase, we will already have the Philippine Knowledge to Action programs for sustainability, which there will be several clusters involving climate, biodiversity and environment, land system change, water, education, and so on. So the Future Earth Philippines program is actually connected to the Future Earth, Global Future Earth Program and Sustainability. There's also a Future Earth Asia project program. And so we have this national program. There are several countries that already have national programs, but actually it's the Philippines that first submitted the proposal, that first informed the Future Earth Global about what is happening in our country. So we want this as a means to provide scientific and social basis for policies for better coordination and more rapid and effective responses to the current challenges. We want this to be a means for improving citizen action and stakeholder participation in the country's journey towards sustainability and resilience. And we want to improve the country's capability to achieve the sustainable development goals. And I just want to show this to you, this concept of biocapacity deficit. So there's the green line shows the biocapacity of a country. That's how much resources we can use for our daily living, how much forest we have, our agriculture, and then our marine resources. So the Philippine biocapacity has been going down since 1961 from about 1 to 0.6. On the other hand, the ecological footprint is how much we disturb the environment as we go around about our daily lives. And as you see, the ecological footprint has increased from, has been increasing over the years. And now, our ecological footprint per capita is much higher than our biocapacity. So we have been operating in an ecological deficit for the past half century. So now we only have 0.6 global hectares per capita biocapacity, whereas our ecological footprint is 1.1. In Thailand, they still have 1.3 biocapacity. Indonesia, 1.3. Malaysia has 2.4. Although their ecological footprints are also increasing and they are going negative also. They are also very worried about this status. And just examples of our ecological footprint, we've been in the newspaper worldwide because of this. And so you all know we're the third worst plastic polluter, next only to Indonesia and China. Manila Bay, I think it was last 2 months, where it got a lot of attention because the most probable number of coliforms is, the safe level is 100, whereas at 2 sites, we had 35 million and 7.9 million most probable number at 2 stations in Manila Bay. And we also have these red tides occurring all over, at different times occurring in different waters in the country. And to me, this is just a surprise that the Philippines has the 3rd highest death rate due to outdoor pollution. And 2nd highest death rate due to indoor pollution. So Joey, yung sigarilyo siguro nagko-contribute dito. And yung indoor pollution, siguro yung lalo na sa mga squatter areas, they may be burning kahit mga plastic just so makapagluto. And that's very toxic. And then of course we have pollution caused by unsustainable mining and unsustainable agriculture. So we need to solve this. We have to work together. We have to collaborate, provide the scientific basis for how we can become sustainable. Although parang, our biocapacity has been operating the negative, I think if we work all together, we can do something about this. Thank you.
Thank you, National Scientist Lourdes Cruz. There you go. That's our Future Earth program. Maybe you would like to give the thought how we can contribute towards this Future Earth program that NAST is shepherding. Now, the third update that we would like to present to you is on the Universal Health Care Program. And it will be delivered by NAST Philippines Director Ningning Isamarita Domingo. Let us give her a round of applause.
Hello? Yan. Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Dapat po tayong magsaya kasi talaga pong may nagagawa ang mga NAST advisory activity. At isang proof po dito ay yung sinyepard ni Dr. National Scientist Ernesto Domingo. Pero bago po ang lahat, gusto kong idagdag sa sinabi ni National Scientist Lourdes Cruz, meron po kahapong naging output related dun sa Future Earth, yung pong sa plastic na group, nagke-create na po sila ng proposal to be submitted sa funding institution para maituloy yung mga dapat na gawin para matulungan natin ang ating environment at makontrol ang proliferation ng plastic. So, ang good news po natin mula sa NAST, yung NAST focal person po on universal healthcare is si National Scientist Ernesto Domingo, who is a liver specialist and medical educator. Nung early 2010 po, ito pong universal healthcare, nag-start ng concern ng NAST being shepherded by Dr. Domingo. So medyo matagal po talaga, as mentioned by Dr. Cruz and Dr. Derit, matagal po talaga bago matapos ang pagbibigay ng advice ng NAST. So nung early 2010, NAST held roundtable discussion on universal healthcare, where the Universal Healthcare Study Group of University of the Philippines, Manila, presented, nung pa lang po pinipresent, the concept and the implied reforms in our health sectors should UHC system be adopted by the newly elected government of President Aquino. In 2012, the UHC became the health agenda of President Aquino and is now officially referred to as Kalusugang Pangkalahatan. The Department of Health and the PhilHealth Insurance Corporation are the primary institutions to present the initial program to implement the KP, which is officially to provide benefits, healthcare to all Filipinos regardless of their economic sector and the ability to pay. So, noong 2013 naman po, National Scientist Ernesto Domingo was awarded the Ramon Magsaysay Award for his continuing effort in pursuing excellence in health care system. In 2014 and 2015, NAST supported 3 roundtable discussions on universal health care under the project Health System Shaper. Ito pong title na ito noon, kailangan pa namin explain sa COA kung bakit Shaper at saka kung bakit ini-involve na ang media. Still in support of the universal health care in 2016, the recommendation to declare that all Filipinos are covered by UHC or KP became part of the 2016 annual scientific meeting recommendation, the theme of which is looking back and looking forward, as a major strategy to address one of the basic needs of the Filipino people. The recommendation was forwarded to the then newly elected President Rodrigo Duterte and his cabinet for their consideration. And good news to all, last February 20, 2019, President Duterte signed into law the Universal Healthcare Act that will provide all Filipinos access to health products and service and will automatically enroll them in the National Health Insurance Program. The law ensures that all Filipinos will have a guaranteed access to various health services and affordable health products. At the same time, from the same division, the Health Sciences Division of NAST, Academician Carmencita Di Padilla, who is the Chancellor of UP Manila, shepherded the passing of, mas nauna po ang bill na ito, newborn screening law. And Academician Padilla advises mothers to let their children undergo newborn screening as the first step in diagnosing rare disease. The screening, however, cannot detect all the diseases. Some can be diagnosed by the pediatrician while they are growing up. So, yung mga rare diseases, medyo late pong nade-detect. In relation to this rare disease, Republic Act number 10747 or the Rare Disease Act of the Philippines was signed into law on March 3, 2016. Nas din po through Dr. Padilla Shepherd this. It seeks to improve the access of patients diagnosed with suspected to have a rare disease to comprehensive medical care and to timely health information to help them cope with their condition. So yun po yung mga good news ng NAS na related sa health sectors. Meron din po kaming related sa agriculture and it's still being ina-advocate ng aming Agricultural Sciences Division. So yun po ang good news from NAS. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Samarita Domingo. I now open the floor for questions from the audience. Any question? Anyway, I do have some questions for Vice President Direct. Wala na. Maybe it's a question for actually the regional directors. How can the regions in here participate in the objectives of the blue economy? Can some of the directors around, if they're still around, can they discuss how they can play a role in the blue economy? Directors?
Lahat po ng regional directors at si Dr. Derrit nasa resolution committee meeting, but I can give you answer to that kasi I monitor yung mga NAS resolutions with the different directors kasi we've been to their province. Ang alam ko po ma'am, yung blue economy, yung mga regional directors, meron silang economic board sa kanilang so they present it. As far as I know, hindi ko mamalam yung status ng sa Luzon, pero yung sa Mindanao, Dr. Sales is in continuous coordination with their economic board there, and they are putting into law some of the recommendations na naandun sa ating RSM resolutions.
Okay, thank you. But any voice from the other members of the different regions? Wala po. Walang gusto magsalita. Maybe we can try a question for national scientist Dr. Cruz. What could have been the difference in approach in research and development versus research for development?
For research and development, you can do anything that you want to work on. Diba? Usually, even yung mga physics projects o merong chemistry projects na very basic. No? Basic research is also necessary, something that we should not forget, but there should be a big proportion of, because of what we need now in our country, of doing kahit basic research, but these are directed. So you do a particular research to answer a problem or a gap for development, or you do research so that you can develop a product, you do research to solve a particular problem.
Okay. Yes, a while ago I was just asking the question about how the different regions can participate in the blue economy. And Director Domingo said something about it, but would you like to say something more about that? Especially the regions covered in this scientific forum. How can they participate?
Right now, the blue economy is a concept. So I think the process really is to generate enough support among different regions. And then from the concept, then you can strategize, and the different relevant regions can start to participate. So right now, I think medyo premature pa yung giving specific suggestions on how regions can participate. I think at this point, we have to generate the political support for the idea first. And then, of course, you have to listen to the other regions kasi kung may buy-in na yung mga regions, then the ability to generate good ideas will be open. So, siguro, kumbinsin mo natin ating mga politicians na tama yung suggestion na magkaroon ng hiwalay na Department for Ocean and Fisheries.
Thank you, Academician Darid. So after all those presentations, now to give the overall summary for the two-day event, let me call on Academician Ruben L. Villarreal, member of the Cultural Division of DOST-Philippines. Academician Villarreal, please.
Thank you very much, Academician Raimundo. I was requested to prepare a synthesis. But before I do that, may I invite everybody to please stand up and bigyan po natin ng masigabong palakpakan ang lahat ng speakers natin. Simula kahapon at hanggang ngayon. Huwag po na kayo upo. Bigyan po rin natin ng masigabong palakpakan ang lahat po ng staff ng DOST Region 3 at ng mga staff po ng NAS na tumulong, nagpakahirap po, tinanggap ang mga complaints, sama ng loob. Ay palakpakan din po natin sila dating kasalmatan. Okay. Region 1 ba ito? Akala ko Region 3. Region 1, di ba? Region 3, I stand corrected. Wala akong coaching noon. Alright. When I got the assignment, upo na kayo. Upo na kayo. Hindi, gusto ko lamang namang magising kayo. Alright, when I got the assignment, I thought that it would be tough, but I simplified it. Simple. When I arrived here, I requested all the speakers to give me their take-home messages. Because I knew that a number of them would have published it in the souvenir program that we had. And so exactly, they prepared those. All right. So let me start with the next slide, please. So this is the rationale, which you can find also in the souvenir program that we have. Next slide, please. And we had two very important topics. The first one is on plastic pollution. We had Academician Del Rosario and Academician Cuevas and Dr. Diaz, who presented excellent papers along this line. And then immediately after, we had two papers on sustainable marine food security, Dr. Menyes and Dr. Baclon. They are not here anymore. They left last night, and so with Academician Del Rosario. And then, next slide please. We had Academician Soloma and Academician Balmaceda, who discussed the topic on sustainable education, talent development, and retention. In plenary session 1 on plastic waste, we have this topic, biodegradable plastic problems and prospects. I requested Dr. De Rosario to give me a summary, which I thought he gave me good summary. But I asked him also to give me the recommendations. And the recommendations are reflected in the next slide. And I would like to read the recommendations because for him, this will be the take-home messages to all those who participated in our activity today. Number 1, government incentives should be given to processors and or manufacturers of biodegradable plastic products. Kinakailangan may come on. Yun ang kanyang ibig sabihin. Importation and sale of non-biodegradable, especially single-use plastic products should be restricted and heavily taxed. Siguro pwedeng i-prohibit na talaga. Funding and logical support should be provided for R&D on physico-chemical and biological evaluation of commercial additives for enhanced biodegradation of plastics. And letter B, techno-economic feasibility studies on production of biodegradable plastics from local feedstocks. Sabi niya, pare, pagka nakuha nila yung mga take-home messages na yan, happy na akong uuwi ng Bataan. Kaya kagabi pa umuwi na. Alright, the second topic on microbial degradation of plastics by Academician Cuevas. Again, she gave us a summary. And summary, you can read in the brochure, but the recommendations are reflected in the next slide. The country has many potential materials for microbial plastic. The greater it needs technology to properly use the microorganisms for safe use. The need for S&T in providing lasting solution to propel disposal of plastic water. The need for enabling environment for the conduct of research. RA 9184 is identified as a big challenge. Thus, the recommendation on the need for the revision of the procurement law to have meaningful and productive research. Yung RA 9184, for those of you who are not familiar, ito yung kinakailangan three bids. Yung tatlo mabababa, pipili ka ng pinakababa. Alam naman rin yan, na manipulating yan eh. Yan dumadaan ng maraming grabing corruption. Pagka na-eliminate yan, I think it will really be something. And the need for multidisciplinary researchers on degradation technology. And finally, that same session, we had the topic on development of industrial application of biodegradable polymer non-composites by Dr. Diaz, na kagabi din yata siya umuwi, and she presented also to us a very good summary. But according to her, these are my recommendations. Number 1, the biggest challenge on plastic waste management is on the packaging materials, thus addressing the problems that start on the packaging. Number 2, to hasten technology development in the biodegradable plastic, business culture in research, particularly for Filipino researchers, should be developed. Moreover, smart machines should be developed to improve manufacturing and production technologies. Development of downstream processing of agriculture and aquaculture products and byproducts is also recommended. Recommended also the development of the use of biodegradable polymer to minimize the use of plastic single-use. Yung single-use, paulit-ulit yun, There is need to focus on the development of raw materials for biodegradable plastic production. And I hope that many of our researchers will be guided accordingly. In plenary session 2, Sustainable Marine Food Security, we had two very reliable, excellent scientists from the Marine Science Institute. The first one was Dr. Marie Antoinette Viño Meñez. And again, she gave us a very beautiful summary. But according to her, please see to it, sir, that you read the recommendations that I will give. Okay, and according to her, these are the recommendations. Number 1, well-managed release areas are effective reproductive reserves. Number 2, supplemental livelihood options for fishers should be coupled with fishery resource management to help address overfishing and generate additional socioeconomic benefits. 3, culture-based resource management interventions should be science-based with regular monitoring and evaluation involving local stakeholders and decision makers and adhering to responsible sustainability practices. Major challenges should be 1, scaling up to enhance long-term ecological and equitable socioeconomic benefits, and number 2, establishing and sustaining good government systems. If you remember, I was the one who asked the question yesterday, why they concentrate on the North Luzon western part. Of course, the answer that because the Marine Science Institute is there, but there are many other reasons which he whispered to me. But I will not whisper to you, but I will say it aloud. By conducting activities there, we are showing that we are very interested really is the western part of the Philippines, Western Sea. And secondly, in the eastern part, masyadong malakas ang agos. Mahirap pa kapag maintain ng mga culture. So as of now, yun ang ginagawa niya. But he is hoping that other state colleges and universities in that part of the Philippines will conduct studies which may be more difficult to do than doing it in the western part of the Philippines. And then we had the last topic yesterday, Imperatives for Sustainable Mariculture by Dr. Lourdes Santiago Maclon. Again, a professor at Marine Science Institute. The summary, and then the recommendations. Number 1, significant environmental impact of mariculture associated with release of waste. Mariculture must be sustainable. Proper site selection and spacing carrying capacity should be determined for mariculture sites. Feed quality, feeding practice should be improved to reduce waste, and monitoring of water quality should be done. Environmental impacts of mariculture will have to be addressed through regulations and management. Strong political will is important in LGU and among adjacent LGUs. This reminds me of the enumeration that I always mention in a big gathering like this. I asked a Taiwanese sociologist on why Taiwan is very progressive compared to other countries. And according to the sociologist, there are 2 roles to be considered, role of the people and role of the government. For the role of the people, according to her, number 1, the people should be industrious. Are we industrious? Sagot naman kayo, are we industrious? Okay. Number 2, according to her, we should be disciplined. Are we disciplined? Walang makasagot naman eh. And number 3, according to her, we should be law-abiding. Are we law-abiding? Kaya ang Taiwan daw successful. And then, pasok naman the government role. According to her, number 1, the government should provide the governments so that there will be enough money for research and development, for infrastructures like food processing, farm-to-market road, market, and above all, should have very strong political will. Kaya yung political will na sinabi dito, tamang-tama ito. Because I think if we would like to be progressive, we should have very strong political will from our government. Hindi ba ninyo napupuna? Isang katutat na batas ang ating pinalalabas, pero hindi naman ma-implement dahil sa wala naman pera. Because I think we lack the political will to accomplish those. And I think in all the activities that we have today, if we would like to have progress, we should have political will. And finally, plenary session 3, sustainable education, talent development, and retention. The first topic was delivered by academician Suloma, and the title is Brain Drain and Inbreeding in the Training of Future Filipino Scientists. Beautiful summary. And his recommendations. Dr. Suloma, kung mali yung recommendation, ay tatas mo kamay mo. First, increasing the number of PhD supervisors who can produce graduates who can do independent research. Number 2, require successful graduation of a PhD student in the grant of tenure and academic promotion. Number 3, require prior publication of dissertation research in paper-reviewed journal in awarding of PhD degree. Make PhD mentoring matters in academic scientist award and recognition, e.g. NAS, as well as grants like in DOST. Build a nurturing and enabling environment for mentors and graduate students. Extend free access to STEM, PhD, MMS education. Well, I think for those who are in this business, I hope you will be guided accordingly. And finally, this morning, we had the brain drain and inbreeding in the training of future Filipino scientists by academician Jose Maria Balmaceda. We call him in the academy Joey. He gave excellent summary, and these are his recommendations. Make good science and math available for all by adopting a more inclusive education that moves away from the elitist selective mindset. You know, this first one remind me that we in Los Baños, our group, consisting of national scientist Dolores Ramirez, my brother Ray Villarreal, in collaboration with PARPI, with PICARD, with the National Academy of Science and Technology, with the Department of Education and Culture, with the local government units, with the provincial government units, is very much involved in building a science culture in Laguna, particularly in Los Baños. And there, we emphasize on math literacy and vegetable science. In this activity that we conduct, we are always guided by what National Scientist Ramirez say, that the so-called aptitude per math is only 12%. Meaning to say, 88% will not come from the parents, but will come from the environment. Ano ba ang environment? Parents, yung siblings, yung tinatawag na mga teachers, local government, the NGOs, etc., etc. Iyon ang sinasabi niya. But sinabi, then, Dr. Ramirez also said, bakit math? Because logical thinking starts with math. So baka kung ang logical thinking hindi mo sisimula ng tama, wala mangyayari sa iyo. Kung pagkabata pa, tuturo mo sila ng math, palagay ko malayo ang mararating natin. Ano ba? Isang kadalasang komentary ko sa mga presentation ng ating gobyerno, palaging ina-emphasize from high school. In other words, basic education pa yon. And then, susunod, undergraduate or the tertiary, tapos graduate education and postgraduate education. So palagay ko, dapat simula tayo from grade 1 or even kinder. Doon pa man, hubugin na natin ang kanilang utak. And ecological thinking starts with math. Bata pa, ginagawa pa lamang bata, ituro mo na yung math. In other words, talagang we need something like that if we would like this country to move forward. Number 2, seriously address the high dropout rates and huge numbers of out-of-school children and youth. And number 3, assess our institutions and educational system using a sustainability perspective. As a start, examine the implementation of the K-12 program and do initial studies on its first batches of graduates. Palagi ko, napakaganda nito. Sana pakinggan naman ng DEX. Because I think this is something which will be very useful for the future generation who will be taking up K-12. Okay. Sa palagi ko, yun yung the salient points na nakuha natin dito. But maybe there are many other things that may have been set aside. But in my thinking, those are the things that we can have. These are very good take-home messages, and I hope that you will consider this when you go home. Well, siguro muli nating pasalamatan ang DOST Region 1 ba o Region 2 o Region 1. Pasalamatan din natin, of course, ang lahat ng mga tumulong upang ang ating regional scientific meeting ay maging talagang kapaki-pakinabang at maging halimbawa sa mga susunod pang regional scientific meeting. Meron nga pala akong isang komentaryo. Nung first day, nagkaroon kami ng may mga kantahan pa eh. Pero yung kantahan, mali naman yata yun. Dapat hindi lamang kantahan. Maybe we can have something like Luzon RSM Got Talents. Para yung mga British Got Talents, Asia Got Talents. Sa madaling salita, hindi lamang kantahan. Pagkat pero namang hindi maraming kumanta doon eh. Baka pwedeng gustong pumunta ron, magsisirko-sirko. Pwedeng mag-dancing-dancing, pwedeng tumula, pwedeng magtalumpati, pwedeng magbigay pa ng mga funny jokes. Sa madaling salita, let us diversify. Well, having said that, I hope you will have good lunch. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig.
Great summary of Academician Villarreal. Please stay on stage. Dr. Villar, please stay on stage. You know, since this is always a difficult job, so to recognize the efforts of Academician Villarreal, may call on Vice President of DOST-Philippines, the Academician Direct, to award him a certificate of appreciation and a certain token.
Of course, ang nasa tumulong paggawa noon, especially inasay sa akin ni si Lady Love, Hi Lady Love, yan si Lala. Kaya kagabi pa, panay text namin.
Dr. Villarreal, please stay in the middle for the awarding. Shall we give him a round of applause? Thank you, everyone, and we like to invite you to like and follow DOST-Philippines social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. May we remind you to accomplish the evaluation forms and submit it to the registration area at the end of the event in exchange for your certificate.